Right now, a massive storm system is loading in the atmosphere, and within the next 72 hours, it is going to unleash one of the most dangerous, severe weather outbreaks we have seen so far this year. I am talking about damaging winds exceeding 75 miles per hour, hailstones the size of baseballs, and a tornado threat that the Storm Prediction Center has already flagged as significant. If you live anywhere from Texas to Michigan, from the Ohio Valley to the Deep South, this storm is coming for your area, and you need to know exactly when it hits, how bad it gets, and when it finally moves out. That is exactly what we are going to break down right now, city by city, state by state, hour by hour. And here is the thing. Most weather channels are going to give you the basics. They will tell you there is a storm coming and leave it at that. But in this video, I am going to give you something different. I am going to walk you through detailed forecasts for over 270 cities and locations across the United States, so you know exactly what to expect where you live. I am going to give you the exact timing of when these storms fire up, when they peak, and when they clear out of your area. And at the 5-minute mark, I am going to reveal which specific cities are sitting right in the crosshairs of the strongest tornado threat, the areas where the atmosphere is setting up for the most violent storms. So do not go anywhere. But first, let me show you why this setup is so alarming, because what is happening in the atmosphere right now is not normal for this time of year. We have a split flow pattern developing. Now, if you are not a weather nerd, let me explain what that means in plain English. Normally, the jet stream flows in one general direction across the country, west to east. But right now, we are getting two separate streams of energy in the atmosphere. One is diving down from the north, bringing cold air and energy from Canada. The other is a cutoff low spinning across the southwest, pumping tropical moisture north from the Gulf of Mexico. When these two streams collide and merge, and that is exactly what is about to happen, it creates an explosive environment for severe weather. The atmospheric dynamics go off the charts. Here is your first shocking number. Dew points across the warm sector are expected to surge into the mid-60s to low 70s. For those of you who have been watching weather for years, you know that when dew points hit the 60s, severe weather becomes very likely. When they push into the 70s, you are talking about tropical levels of moisture feeding into these storms. That is fuel, that is raw energy. And these storms are going to have a massive amount of it to work with. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has already issued an enhanced risk, that is a level 3 out of 5 for parts of the Midwest for Tuesday, and they have put a slight risk level 2 out of 5, stretching all the way from southwest Michigan down to the Texas-Mexico border. But here is what most people are not telling you. This setup is eerily similar to what just happened a few days ago when we saw violent tornadoes rip through southern Michigan near Union City. That same warm frontal boundary setup is coming back. And this time, the ingredients might be even stronger. Let me break down exactly what you need to know day by day, and I am going to give you the specific timing for every region so you can plan accordingly. Let us start with today, Sunday. Now, today is not the big show. Today is the opening act. But do not let your guard down, because we still have a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather for the Carolinas and southeast Virginia. The main threats are damaging winds and hail. There is a low-end tornado risk along the North Carolina coast later this evening. Here is the timing for today. If you are in Georgia, thunderstorms start building around 11 in the morning and push through central Georgia by 2 to 3 in the afternoon. These storms will carry through the state into the evening hours. If you are in South Carolina, storms push into your area between 4 and 7 in the evening. Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Savannah, you could see strong storms just after dinner time between 6 and 8 tonight. If you are in North Carolina, thunderstorms develop from Greenville up to Hickory and Greensboro by early afternoon. By 4 to 5 in the evening, big storms fire up in eastern North Carolina and southeast Virginia. Jacksonville, Greenville, areas just south of the Outer Banks, be ready between 5 and 8 tonight. By 9 to 10 tonight, things start settling down. Now, cities at risk today include Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, Wilmington, Greenville in North Carolina, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Columbia in South Carolina, Savannah, Atlanta, Augusta, Macon in Georgia, and Virginia Beach and Norfolk in Virginia. The threat level is low, but you want to stay aware. Strong storms can still produce isolated damage. But I want you to pay close attention because what is coming tomorrow is a completely different story. Monday brings our first real escalation. The Storm Prediction Center has already upgraded to a slight risk level 2 out of 5, centered on the deep south. This is focused on an area from Little Rock, Arkansas down through Jackson, Mississippi, with a marginal risk extending into Memphis, Birmingham, Montgomery, and Shreveport. Here is what makes Monday concerning. The hail threat has an intensity level 1 designation. That means some of these storms could produce hailstones reaching 2 inches in diameter or larger. We are talking about golf ball-sized hail, and in some cases even larger than that. These are storms that can shatter windshields, destroy crops, and cause serious damage to your roof. If you have vehicles parked outside in this region, Monday afternoon would be a good time to find covered parking. Monday timing for the Deep South. Storms begin firing along the Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi border around midday, roughly noon to 1 in the afternoon. By 2 to 3 in the afternoon, these storms are already hitting severe limits with large hail right in the corridor where the slight risk is in place. Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Greenville, Mississippi, Jackson, Monroe. These areas are in the bullseye from early afternoon through the evening. By 4 to 6 in the afternoon, storms push into southwest Alabama. Montgomery, Mobile, Dothan, you are looking at a late afternoon to early evening threat. By 7 to 8 in the evening, storms continue tracking east into western Mississippi and could affect Memphis by later in the evening. Thunderstorms could persist into the overnight hours. Cities and states at risk for Monday include Little Rock and Pine Bluff in Arkansas, Jackson, Greenville, Hattiesburg, Meridian, and Vicksburg in Mississippi, Shreveport, Monroe, and Alexandria in Louisiana, Memphis and Dyersburg in Tennessee, Birmingham, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa, Mobile, and Dothan in Alabama, and a small section of southeast Oklahoma, including areas near Hugo and Idabel. The tornado risk for Monday is currently at 2% within 25 miles of any given point, but that could be upgraded to 5%. If you see a discrete supercell storm rolling through your area on Monday afternoon, take it seriously. These cells will have the rotation needed to produce tornadoes. Now, I told you earlier that at the 5-minute mark, I would reveal which cities are sitting in the most dangerous zone. Here it is. Tuesday is expected to be the big day, the day that could produce a significant severe weather outbreak. And the areas that concern me the most right now are central and north-central Illinois, northeastern Missouri, and a small section of southeastern Iowa. That is the enhanced risk zone, level 3 out of 5. But the significant severe threat, meaning strong tornadoes rated EF2 or higher, hail 2 inches in diameter or larger, and wind gusts exceeding 75 miles per hour extends across a much wider area. Let me give you the cities sitting in the enhanced risk zone for Tuesday: Springfield, Peoria, Bloomington, Champaign, Decatur, and Quincy in Illinois, Hannibal, Kirksville, and Columbia in Missouri, Burlington and Fort Madison in Iowa. These cities need to be on high alert. This is where the atmospheric ingredients are overlapping most dangerously. You have a surface low-pressure system riding through, yanking moist air north. You have incredible wind shear, with winds changing direction dramatically from the surface up through the middle levels of the atmosphere. And you have a warm frontal boundary setting up across the Midwest, which is the exact same type of setup that produced those violent tornadoes in Michigan just days ago. But the threat zone for Tuesday is much larger than just the enhanced area. The slight risk, level 2 out of 5, stretches from southwest Michigan all the way down to the Texas-Mexico border. That means cities like Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, Wichita, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Dallas, Fort Worth, Abilene, San Angelo, Detroit, and dozens more are all in the risk zone. Let me give you the detailed timing for Tuesday because this is critical information. Starting in the southern plains, if you are in Texas or Oklahoma, scattered thunderstorms begin developing during the late morning and early afternoon. Dallas-Fort Worth, you could see storms as early as 1 to 2 in the afternoon. Oklahoma City, Tulsa, storms fire up between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. Initially, these will be primarily hailstorms with a low-end tornado threat. But as the afternoon progresses, the tornado risk increases. By mid-afternoon around 3 to 4, the Dallas-Fort Worth area could be dealing with a tornado threat from any discrete cells that fire out ahead of the main line. Abilene, Wichita Falls, Lubbock, you are looking at storms between noon and 4 in the afternoon. Wichita, Kansas, storms arrive between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. Now here's where it gets really interesting. And do not skip past this part because this is the most important timing of the entire event. In the Midwest, along that warm frontal boundary, the atmosphere is going to be primed for supercell thunderstorms by Tuesday afternoon. Northern Missouri, southern Iowa, central Illinois, these areas start seeing storm development between 1 and 3 in the afternoon. By mid to late afternoon, around 3 to 5, supercells are expected to be firing along that warm frontal boundary. These are the storms most likely to produce strong tornadoes. The significant tornado parameter values in this region are expected to be extremely high, meaning the wind shear and instability are perfectly aligned for rotating supercells. Springfield, Illinois, storms arrive between 2 and 5 in the afternoon, Peoria between 3 and 6, Bloomington and Champaign between 3 and 6. Chicago, the severe weather threat arrives between 5 and 8 in the evening. This is when supercells from the west begin clustering as they move toward the Chicago metro area. Indianapolis, storms push in between 7 and 10 in the evening. St. Louis, you are looking at storms between 4 and 7 in the evening. Des Moines, storms between 2 and 5 in the afternoon. Kansas City between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. Now, here is a critical twist that most forecasters are not emphasizing enough. The tornado threat does not end at sunset on Tuesday. In fact, it may actually increase into the evening hours. By 7 in the evening, there will likely be several supercells ongoing near that warm frontal boundary west of Chicago. The tornado threat will be elevated in that area. And then during the late evening, around 10 to 11 at night, a full-blown line of thunderstorms will develop across central Texas, pushing toward Dallas-Fort Worth, and also across central Kansas. This line will produce widespread damaging winds and embedded tornadoes. Overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, these storms continue marching east. The damaging wind risk continues with an isolated tornado threat persisting through the overnight hours. If you are in the Chicago metro area, you could be dealing with severe weather from about 6 in the evening through midnight or later. Detroit and southern Michigan, the threat arrives between 9 in the evening and 2 in the morning. And unfortunately, these are the same areas that just got hit by tornadoes days ago. Northern Indiana, South Bend, Fort Wayne, Lafayette, your window is roughly 8 in the evening through 1 in the morning. Columbus and Cincinnati in Ohio, you are looking at overnight storms between midnight and 5 in the morning Wednesday. Louisville, Kentucky, between 10 in the evening and 3 in the morning. By daybreak on Wednesday, storms will be stretching from Michigan all the way back down into Texas. And we are not done yet. Not even close. Do not miss what comes next because Wednesday brings another round of severe weather and it shifts further east to impact millions more people. Wednesday is when the entire merged storm system really flexes its muscles. The cold frontal boundary continues pushing east and we get a resurgence of severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has already put out a slight risk, level 2 out of 5, extending from Pittsburgh all the way down to Alexandria, Louisiana. Here is Wednesday timing for the eastern regions. If you are in the Ohio Valley, storms develop during the morning and intensify through the afternoon. Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, you are looking at storms between late morning and mid-afternoon. Pittsburgh, storms arrive between noon and 5 in the afternoon. Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky, leftover storms from overnight could linger into the morning, with a new round developing by afternoon. Nashville and Knoxville in Tennessee, storms between noon and 6 in the evening. Huntsville and Birmingham in Alabama, afternoon storms between 1 and 7 in the evening. Atlanta, Georgia, storms push through between 2 and 8 in the evening. Jackson and Meridian in Mississippi, morning through afternoon. Memphis, leftover storms from overnight with new development by midday. Little Rock, Arkansas, early morning through midday. Shreveport, Louisiana, morning storms. Dallas-Fort Worth, early morning storms clearing by midday. The mode of severe weather on Wednesday is expected to be more linear. That means instead of individual supercell storms, we are more likely to see a large squall line of thunderstorms stretching from Illinois down into Texas. This type of setup produces widespread damaging winds, flying debris, and embedded tornadoes. Think about what we saw just this past Saturday with the wind damage across the Ohio Valley. Wednesday could be similar but even more intense. The tornado risk on Wednesday will be somewhat lower than Tuesday in terms of strong tornadoes, but the wind threat is going to be significant. We are talking about gusts potentially exceeding 75 miles per hour along the leading edge of this line. That is hurricane-force wind. Trees are coming down, power lines are going down, outdoor furniture, trampolines, anything not secured is going to become a projectile. Now, here is something I need to tell you about that barely anyone is talking about. There is a Thursday threat as well. As this massive system continues pushing east, there could be another round of severe weather along the mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast. The threat level is not as high as Tuesday or Wednesday, but it is real. Thursday, cities to watch include Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, Richmond, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Raleigh, Charlotte, Wilmington in North Carolina, and potentially even areas as far north as New York City, Hartford, and Boston. Thursday timing for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Storms develop during the afternoon between noon and 5, with the main threat window between 2 and 8 in the evening. This will likely be a QLCS event, a quasi-linear convective system, meaning a line of storms with embedded tornadoes possible. Now let me expand the city-by-city breakdown, because I promised you forecasts for over 270 locations, and I am going to deliver on that promise. Let us start in the west and work our way east. For the western United States, this storm system is not your primary concern right now. Your issue is wind. Extremely strong winds are blasting across Wyoming and Montana today, with gusts reaching 50, 60, even 78 miles per hour. Cheyenne, Casper, Billings, Great Falls, Bozeman, Missoula, Helena, you are dealing with dangerous wind today and into tomorrow. Denver, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, you are on the western fringe of this system. Expect gusty winds Monday and Tuesday, but the severe thunderstorm threat stays mostly east of you. Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Las Cruces in New Mexico, same situation. Gusty winds, some blowing dust, but the big severe weather stays to your east. Phoenix, Tucson, Flagstaff in Arizona, quiet weather for you this week. Las Vegas, Reno, Salt Lake City, Boise, quiet as well. Portland and Seattle, you have your own weather pattern going on with Pacific moisture, but this severe weather outbreak is not your concern. Moving into the southern plains. San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Corpus Christi, Laredo, Brownsville, McAllen in Texas, you are on the southern periphery of Tuesday's severe weather threat. Scattered storms are possible Tuesday afternoon and evening, but the biggest threat stays north of you toward the Dallas-Fort Worth corridor. However, Houston, you should still be alert for storms Tuesday evening into overnight with gusty winds and heavy rain. Lubbock, Amarillo, Midland, Odessa in West Texas, storms fire up Tuesday afternoon. Hail is your primary threat. Some of these storms could produce very large hail in the 2-inch range. Make sure vehicles are covered. El Paso, you are largely out of the severe threat this time around. Watch for gusty winds, but severe storms should stay well to your east. Now, the central United States. This is ground zero for this outbreak. Oklahoma City, Norman, Moore, Edmond, you are in the slight risk for Tuesday. Storms develop between 2 and 5 in the afternoon. Initially more of a hail and wind threat, but the tornado risk increases into the evening. By 7 to 9 in the evening, a line of storms will be pushing through the metro. Tulsa, Broken Arrow, Muskogee, Bartlesville, similar timing. Storms between 3 and 7 in the evening with a squall line arriving later in the evening around 8 to 10. Lawton, Enid, Stillwater, Ponca City, afternoon storms between 1 and 5 with the main line arriving between 6 and 9 in the evening. Kansas is sitting right in the path of this system. Wichita, storms arrive between 3 and 6 in the afternoon Tuesday, with the main squall line pushing through between 8 and 11 in the evening. Topeka between 4 and 8 in the evening. Manhattan, Salina, Hayes, afternoon storms between 2 and 5 with the line arriving between 7 and 10. Lawrence, Overland Park, Kansas City Metro, storms between 4 and 8 in the evening with the main line around 9 to midnight. Dodge City, Garden City, liberal storms develop earlier between noon and 3 in the afternoon, primarily hail threats. Emporia, Hutchinson, Newton between 3 and 7 in the evening. Nebraska, you are on the northern fringe. Lincoln and Omaha, scattered storms are possible Tuesday evening between 5 and 9, but the main severe threat stays south of you. Grand Island, Kearney, Hastings, a few storms possible, but limited instability this far north. Missouri is right in the danger zone. Kansas City Metro, I already mentioned, storms between 4 and 8 with the line around 9 to midnight. Springfield, Joplin, Branson, these cities are in the slight risk zone. Storms between 3 and 7 in the afternoon and evening. Columbia and Jefferson City, you are near the enhanced risk zone. Storms between 2 and 6 in the afternoon. This is an area where supercells could produce strong tornadoes. St. Louis, storms between 4 and 8 in the evening. Cape Girardeau, Poplar Bluff, storms between 5 and 9 in the evening. Hannibal, Quincy area, this is right in the enhanced zone. Storms between 1 and 5 in the afternoon with the highest tornado threat during this window. Iowa, Burlington, Fort Madison, Keokuk in the southeast, you are in or near the enhanced risk. Storms between 2 and 6 in the afternoon Tuesday. Des Moines, storms between 2 and 5. Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, between 3 and 7. Davenport, Quad Cities between 4 and 8. Sioux City, Ames, Waterloo, scattered storms possible. But the main severe threat is south and east of you, Illinois. This is the state that needs to pay the closest attention. Springfield, Decatur, Champaign, Bloomington, Peoria, these cities are in the enhanced risk zone. Supercell thunderstorms are expected to develop between 1 and 5 in the afternoon Tuesday. Strong tornadoes are possible. This is not a drill. If you live in central Illinois, you need to know where your safe room is. You need to have your weather radio charged. You need a plan for your family. Chicago, Rockford, Aurora, Joliet, Naperville, severe weather arrives between 5 and 9 in the evening. Supercells could be approaching the metro area during the evening rush hour. This is a dangerous scenario because millions of people could be on the roads when these storms hit. If you work in Chicago and you hear that storms are approaching, do not try to drive home through them. Find a sturdy building and shelter in an interior room on the lowest floor. Southern Illinois, Carbondale, Marion, Mount Vernon, Belleville, storms between 3 and 7 in the evening. These storms could be intense with hail and tornado risk. Indiana, the threat arrives later in the evening and overnight. Indianapolis, between 7 and 11 in the evening. Fort Wayne, between 8 in the evening and midnight. South Bend, Elkhart, between 8 in the evening and 1 in the morning. Terre Haute, between 6 and 10 in the evening. Evansville, between 5 and 9 in the evening. Bloomington, between 6 and 10. Lafayette, between 7 and 11. Muncie, Anderson, between 8 and midnight. Michigan, and I want to talk directly to the people of Michigan right now. I know you just went through a terrifying experience with those tornadoes near Union City. I know some of you are still cleaning up, still dealing with the aftermath, and I am sorry to tell you this, but you need to be ready again. Southern Michigan, including Detroit, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Jackson, you are in the path of these storms Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. The timing is roughly 9 in the evening through 3 in the morning. The fact that this will be happening at night makes it even more dangerous because nocturnal tornadoes are harder to see and people are asleep. If you are in southern Michigan, please, before you go to bed Tuesday night, make sure your weather alerts are turned on. Make sure your phone is charged. Put shoes near your bed. Have a flashlight ready. Know exactly where you are going if a tornado warning is issued for your area. Do not assume it cannot happen again. It can. The atmosphere does not care about how recently you were last hit. Ohio, the overnight threat carries into your state. Columbus, between midnight and 5 in the morning Wednesday. Cincinnati, Dayton, between 11 in the evening and 4 in the morning. Cleveland, Akron, Canton. The threat is lower for you, but scattered storms are possible overnight into Wednesday morning between 2 and 7 in the morning. Toledo, between midnight and 4 in the morning. Youngstown, between 1 and 5 in the morning. Zanesville, Chillicothe, between midnight and 5. Now let me cover the Deep South because this region is getting hit on multiple days. Mississippi, Jackson, Hattiesburg, Meridian, Vicksburg. You are dealing with storms Monday afternoon through evening and then again Wednesday. Monday timing is noon through 8 in the evening. Wednesday timing is 6 in the morning through 2 in the afternoon. Gulfport, Biloxi, Pascagoula, Monday evening through night and again Wednesday morning. Tupelo, Oxford, Columbus, Mississippi, Tuesday. Storms between 4 and 9 in the evening, Wednesday morning through afternoon. Alabama, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. You have a Monday threat from 4 in the afternoon through 10 in the evening and a Wednesday threat from noon through 8 in the evening. Montgomery, Dothan, Mobile, Monday late afternoon through night, Wednesday afternoon through evening. Huntsville, Decatur, Florence, Tuesday evening through overnight and Wednesday afternoon through evening. Tennessee, Memphis, Tuesday night through Wednesday morning. Nashville, Wednesday morning through evening. Knoxville, Chattanooga, Wednesday afternoon through late evening. Clarksville, Jackson, Tennessee, Wednesday morning through afternoon. Cookeville, Crossville, Wednesday afternoon. Kentucky, Louisville, Lexington, Tuesday late evening through Wednesday morning with another round Wednesday afternoon through evening. Bowling Green, Paducah, Owensboro, similar timing. Covington, Newport, Florence, Kentucky, overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning. Arkansas, Little Rock, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Jonesboro, storms Monday afternoon through evening and again Tuesday overnight into Wednesday morning. Louisiana, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, Monday afternoon through evening. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lake Charles, Lafayette, storms Monday evening with the main severe threat staying north. Possible strong storms, but lower end threat compared to areas further north. Georgia, Atlanta, Macon, Augusta, Columbus, Georgia, Savannah, Albany, Wednesday afternoon through late evening. Athens, Gainesville, Dalton, Wednesday afternoon. Now let me cover the mid-Atlantic and northeast for the Thursday threat. Virginia, Richmond, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Newport News, Roanoke, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, Fredericksburg. Storms Thursday afternoon between 1 and 7 in the evening. Northern Virginia, Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, Thursday afternoon between 2 and 8. Washington, D.C., storms. Thursday afternoon between 2 and 8 in the evening. Maryland, Baltimore, Annapolis, Frederick, Hagerstown, Thursday afternoon through evening, roughly 2 to 8. Delaware, Wilmington, Dover, Thursday between 3 and 8 in the evening. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Thursday between 3 and 9 in the evening. Pittsburgh, Wednesday afternoon between noon and 6 in the evening, and then clearing. Harrisburg, Allentown, Reading, Scranton, Thursday between 4 and 9 in the evening. New Jersey, Newark, Jersey City, Trenton, Atlantic City, Thursday evening between 4 and 10. New York, New York City, Thursday evening between 5 and 10. Albany, Syracuse, Buffalo, scattered storms possible Thursday evening, but the severe threat is diminishing as the system moves offshore. Long Island, possible strong storms Thursday evening between 5 and 10. Connecticut, Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, Stamford, Thursday evening between 5 and 10. Rhode Island, Providence, Thursday evening, lower end threat. Massachusetts, Boston, Worcester, Springfield. Massachusetts, possible storms Thursday evening, but the severe threat is minimal this far north. Now let me cover some additional cities I have not mentioned yet because I know many of you are watching from areas that do not always get covered in these forecasts. Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Duluth, Mankato, St. Cloud. You are on the very northern edge of this system. The severe weather threat for you is low, but scattered storms are possible Tuesday evening. Your bigger concern is the cold air that follows. By Thursday, wind chills could drop into the single digits and teens. That is a 30 to 40 degree swing from where temperatures will be on Tuesday. Rochester and Mankato, you could see a dusting of snow behind the front Wednesday night into Thursday. Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh, La Crosse, Eau Claire, Waukesha, Racine, Kenosha. You have a marginal severe weather threat Tuesday evening into overnight. Milwaukee and Kenosha, being close to Chicago, could see the tail end of severe storms between 8 in the evening and midnight Tuesday. Madison and the western part of the state, scattered storms Tuesday evening between 6 and 10. The cold air Thursday will hit you hard. Green Bay and Appleton could see highs only in the low 30s by Friday. West Virginia, Charleston, Huntington, Morgantown, Parkersburg, Wheeling, Clarksburg, Beckley, severe weather threat Wednesday afternoon through evening. Charleston, storms between noon and 7 in the evening. Morgantown and Wheeling between 1 and 8. Some of these storms could be strong with damaging winds as the squall line pushes through the Appalachians. The terrain can sometimes disrupt storm organization, but do not count on it. North Carolina, I already mentioned the coast for today, but for Wednesday and Thursday, Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Asheville, Fayetteville, Wilmington, Jacksonville, Gastonia, High Point, Burlington, you are looking at storms Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. Charlotte, storms between 4 and 10 in the evening Wednesday. Raleigh, Durham, between 6 in the evening and midnight. Asheville, between 3 and 9 in the evening. Fayetteville, between 7 in the evening and 1 in the morning. These will primarily be wind events with heavy rain and an isolated tornado risk. South Carolina, Columbia, Charleston, Greenville, Spartanburg, Rock Hill, Florence, Sumter, Hilton Head, Myrtle Beach, storms Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. Columbia between 8 in the evening and 2 in the morning. Charleston between 10 in the evening and 4 in the morning. Florence and Myrtle Beach between 9 in the evening and 3 in the morning. Florida, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Pensacola, you are on the far southern edge. Pensacola could see scattered storms Wednesday. Jacksonville and Tallahassee, possible storms Wednesday night into Thursday. The severe threat is low for you, but heavy rain is likely. Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, you are well south of this system. Some passing showers are possible, but no severe weather concerns for you this round. North Dakota, South Dakota, Fargo, Bismarck, Sioux Falls, Rapid City, Aberdeen, Pierre, you are north of the severe weather, but you will feel the cold air. By Thursday and Friday, temperatures crash. Fargo and Bismarck could see single-digit wind chills. Sioux Falls, lows in the teens. If you still have livestock outdoors, make sure they have shelter from the wind. Montana, Billings, Great Falls, Missoula, Helena, Bozeman, Butte, Kalispell. Today is all about the extreme wind for you. Gusts up to 78 miles per hour have been clocked. Secure anything loose outside. These winds will diminish by Monday but could still be gusty. Winter weather returns to the higher elevations this week. Let me also address the flooding risk in more detail because this is an underrated part of this event. When you get tropical levels of moisture pumping into a storm system like this, the rainfall totals can add up fast. Here are the areas where I am most concerned about flash flooding: the Arkansas and Mississippi River valleys, Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Greenville, Mississippi, Vicksburg, Natchez, Memphis. These areas could see 2 to 4 inches of rain Monday through Wednesday. Rivers and creeks that are already running high will rise further. Check your local river gauge levels before the storms arrive. The Ohio River Valley. Louisville, Cincinnati, Evansville, Paducah, Owensboro, Wheeling, these cities sit along major rivers and tributaries. Heavy rainfall Wednesday could cause rapid rises on smaller streams and creeks. Urban flooding is also a concern in these metro areas where pavement prevents water from soaking into the ground. The Tennessee Valley, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Huntsville. These cities are flood-prone when heavy rain moves through. Nashville in particular has a history of devastating flash floods. If you live in a low-lying area near a creek or river in any of these cities, know your evacuation route: Central Illinois and Indiana. Springfield, Peoria, Bloomington, Indianapolis. Heavy rain. Tuesday evening through Wednesday morning could produce localized flooding, especially in agricultural areas where the ground is saturated from recent rains. Remember, turn around, do not drown. More people die in flood waters than from any other severe weather hazard. Never drive through flooded roadways. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock you off your feet. 12 inches can carry away a small car. 2 feet of moving water will float most vehicles, including trucks and sport utility vehicles. Now let me talk about the power outage risk, because with wind gusts potentially exceeding 75 miles per hour across a wide area, we could see widespread power outages from Texas to Michigan to the Ohio Valley. Cities most at risk for extended power outages include Dallas-Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Wichita, Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, Illinois, Peoria, Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, Columbus, Cincinnati, Nashville, Memphis, Birmingham, and Atlanta. If you depend on electricity for medical equipment, make sure you have a backup plan. Charge your devices now while you still have power. If you have a generator, make sure it has fuel and test it before you need it. Never run a generator indoors or in an enclosed garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every single year during power outages. For those of you with electric vehicles, charge them fully before Tuesday. You do not want to be caught with a low battery and no way to charge during an extended outage. Stock up on water, at least 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days. Make sure you have non-perishable food that does not require cooking. Canned goods, protein bars, peanut butter, crackers. Fill your bathtub with water in case you lose water pressure. Have cash on hand because card readers do not work without power. Let me also take a moment to talk about what to do if a tornado warning is issued for your area, because there are still a lot of misconceptions out there about tornado safety. First, get to the lowest floor of a sturdy building. A basement is ideal. If you do not have a basement, go to an interior room on the lowest floor, away from windows. A bathroom, a closet, a hallway in the center of the house. Get under something sturdy if you can, like a heavy table or workbench. Cover your head and neck with your arms or a pillow or blanket. Do not try to outrun a tornado in your car. If you are driving and a tornado is approaching, get to the nearest sturdy building immediately. If there is no building available, park your car, keep your seatbelt on, duck below the windows, and cover your head. Do not hide under an overpass. That is one of the most dangerous places to be during a tornado because the wind actually accelerates under the bridge structure. If you live in a mobile home or manufactured housing, you need to leave before the storms arrive. Mobile homes offer virtually no protection from tornadoes, even weak ones. Identify the nearest community shelter, church, school, or sturdy building before the storms arrive. Have a plan to get there. For those of you with pets, have carriers ready. Do not leave your pets chained or tied up outside during severe weather. Bring them indoors. If you need to go to a shelter, find out in advance if they accept animals. Now, I have been talking about the severe weather, but there is another major part of this story that is going to affect millions of people. And it is something that will catch a lot of folks off guard. Behind this massive storm system, winter is making a comeback. Cold air is going to pour south behind the cold front starting Wednesday night and into Thursday. And I am not talking about a mild cool down. I am talking about a significant blast of cold air that is going to feel like January in some areas. Here is what is happening. We have a sudden stratospheric warming event that has been disrupting the polar vortex. This is causing the jet stream to buckle and send Arctic air much further south than normal for mid-March. After this storm system clears, freezing temperatures will push down across the upper Midwest by Thursday. Wind chills will make it feel brutal. Thursday temperatures and wind chills. Minneapolis, St. Paul, highs in the 20s with wind chills in the teens. Green Bay, Milwaukee, Madison, similar conditions. Chicago, after potentially dealing with tornadoes on Tuesday, you could be seeing wind chills in the 20s by Thursday morning. Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, highs in the low 30s with wind chills in the teens to 20s. Omaha, Lincoln, same story. Fargo, Bismarck, highs in the teens with wind chills below zero. By Friday, the freezing temperatures push further east and south. Detroit, Cleveland, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, highs in the 30s with brisk wind chills. New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., you will see a 20 to 30 degree temperature drop from Wednesday to Friday. And here is the twist that barely anyone is talking about. This cold pattern is not a one-time event. The models are showing that this cold air is going to keep coming in waves through the rest of March and possibly into early April. We are looking at a high-pressure ridge building along the west coast, which forces the jet stream into a deep trough across the eastern United States. This pattern brings repeated shots of cold air and even chances for snow well into the second half of March. There are signals on both the European model and the GFS for a significant winter weather event around March 15th through the 18th. The European model AI is showing a major storm system developing in that time frame with heavy snow possible from the Ohio Valley through the mid-Atlantic and into southern New England. We are talking about a potential mid-March snowstorm that could drop significant accumulations across areas that are already thinking about spring. Now, I know what you are thinking. It is mid-March, winter should be over, and normally I would agree with you, but this year is different. That sudden stratospheric warming event that happened a few weeks ago has fundamentally changed the pattern. It has split the polar vortex and is allowing cold air to drain south in repeated pulses. The Arctic oscillation is going negative, and the North Atlantic oscillation is following it down. Both of these indices point toward continued cold air outbreaks for the eastern United States. What does this mean for you? If you have already put away your winter coats and snow shovels, do not do that yet. If you have started your garden, be ready to cover your plants. If you have peach trees, apple trees, or other early blooming fruit trees, a hard freeze could damage blossoms and hurt your harvest this year. Cities that need to watch for potential snow between March 15th and 18th include Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, Hartford, Providence, Boston, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cleveland, Detroit, Indianapolis, Louisville, Nashville, and even areas as far south as Knoxville and the Smoky Mountains. The European model is even trying to show rain switching to snow as far south as the Carolinas, though I would take that with a grain of salt at this range. Let me bring it back to the immediate threat because I want to make sure you are completely prepared for the next 72 hours. Here's your action plan. If you live in the Carolinas, Georgia, or Southeast Virginia, today is about awareness. Have your weather app notifications on. Know where you would go if a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your area. The threat level is low, level 1 out of 5, but do not ignore warnings. If you live in the deep south from Arkansas through Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana, Monday is your day. Storms fire up around midday and continue through the evening. Large hail is the primary threat, with golf ball-sized or larger hailstones possible. There is a 2 to 5% tornado risk. Bring your cars under cover if you can. Have a plan. If you live anywhere from Texas to Michigan, Tuesday is the big day. This is when the atmosphere is loaded for the most significant severe weather. The enhanced risk zone in central Illinois and northeast Missouri is where the strongest tornadoes are most likely, but severe weather will be widespread from the Texas-Mexico border to the Great Lakes. Timing ranges from early afternoon in the southern plains to overnight in the Midwest and Great Lakes. Nocturnal tornadoes are a real threat Tuesday night. If you live in the Ohio Valley, the deep southeast of Mississippi, or the Tennessee Valley, Wednesday is your continuation day. The squall line brings widespread damaging winds and embedded tornadoes, morning through evening timing depending on your location. If you live in the mid-Atlantic or Northeast, Thursday is when you need to pay attention. A weakening but still potent system could produce severe weather during the afternoon and evening. And for everyone east of the Rockies, from Thursday through the following week, winter is coming back. Be ready for significantly colder temperatures, frost, and potential snow. Now, I want to do something that I think will be really helpful for all of you. Drop a comment below telling me where you live, your city, and state, and I will do my best to get back to you with a specific forecast for your area. I know we covered over 270 cities in this video, but there are thousands of towns and communities across this country, and I want to make sure you have the information you need. So comment your location and let us get you prepared. Let me recap the most critical information one more time because I want this burned into your memory. Tuesday is the most dangerous day of this entire event. The Enhanced Risk Zone, Level 3 out of 5, covers central Illinois, northeast Missouri, and southeast Iowa. Strong tornadoes, EF2 or higher, are possible in this zone. The significant severe weather threat extends from Michigan to Texas. Peak timing for the Midwest is mid-afternoon through late evening. Peak timing for the southern plains is late afternoon through overnight. Nocturnal tornadoes are a concern Tuesday night for Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. Cape values, which measure the fuel available for storms, are expected to exceed 1,500 joules per kilogram across a wide area, with pockets exceeding 2,000. Wind shear values are going to be extremely high, especially near the warm frontal boundary in the Midwest. The significant tornado parameter, which combines multiple atmospheric ingredients into one number, is expected to be dangerously high across central Illinois and northeast Missouri. For reference, during the Michigan tornado event just days ago, the significant tornado parameter was elevated, but not as high as what we are expecting for Tuesday. That should tell you something about the potential severity of this event. Now, here is something else I want you to understand about this particular setup. It is not just going to be one type of severe weather. We are looking at a multi-hazard event. First, the hail. Some of these storms, particularly in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, could produce hail up to 2 inches in diameter or even larger. Baseball-sized hail is not out of the question with the strongest supercells. This type of hail causes catastrophic damage. It punches through car windshields, destroys roofing, and can cause serious injury if you are caught outside. Second, the wind. Along the squall line, particularly Tuesday night and into Wednesday, wind gusts could exceed 75 miles per hour. That is hurricane force. We saw what straight-line winds can do just this past weekend. Trees snapped, power lines down, structures damaged. If the power goes out in your area, are you prepared? Do you have flashlights, batteries, a battery-powered weather radio, and enough water and food for at least 72 hours? Third, the tornadoes. This is what keeps meteorologists up at night with a setup like this. The combination of extreme wind shear, a warm frontal boundary, and ample moisture creates an environment that is perfectly tuned for violent tornadoes. We are not talking about weak tornadoes that knock over a few trash cans. We are talking about the potential for EF2, EF3, or even stronger tornadoes that can level homes and throw vehicles. Fourth, the flooding. With tropical levels of moisture being pumped into this system, some areas could see 2 to 4 inches of rainfall in a very short period. Flash flooding is a real concern, particularly in urban areas and low-lying zones along rivers and creeks. Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, Birmingham, these are cities that can see flash flooding with this type of heavy rainfall. I have been watching weather for a long time, and I can tell you that the atmospheric setup we are seeing for Tuesday ranks among the more concerning setups I have seen in March. It does not mean that disaster is guaranteed. Weather is inherently unpredictable at the local level, but it means that the ingredients are in place for a significant outbreak, and if the atmosphere clicks, we could see a very active day. Now, I do not say that to scare you. I say it to prepare you. There is a huge difference. Fear paralyzes. Preparation empowers. And right now you have time to prepare. You have at least 24 to 48 hours before the worst of this arrives. Use that time wisely. Check your weather radio batteries. Make sure everyone in your household knows where to go in a tornado warning. If you live in a mobile home, identify the nearest sturdy structure where you can shelter. If you have elderly neighbors or family members who may not be aware of this threat, call them. Let them know what is coming. Share this video with them if that helps. Now, here is what I want you to do right now. First, comment below with your location so I can help you with a specific forecast. Second, make sure you are following this channel because the forecast is going to evolve rapidly over the next 48 hours. The Storm Prediction Center will be updating their outlooks, and the short-range models will start providing much more detailed information about exact storm tracks and timing. I will have updated videos as new information comes in, and here is your teaser for what is coming next. In tomorrow's video, I am going to break down the Tuesday forecast in extreme detail using the latest high-resolution model data. I will be able to show you, nearly town by town, where the strongest storms are expected to track and what time they arrive. I will also have the latest updates from the Storm Prediction Center on whether they have expanded the enhanced risk zone or even upgraded it to a moderate risk, level 4 out of 5. If they do that, it signals an even more significant outbreak than what is currently expected. Additionally, I am watching something developing for late March that could be even more dramatic than what we are about to experience. There are signals in the long-range models for a major pattern shift that could bring an extended period of active severe weather across the central United States. We are talking about a setup that could rival some of the more memorable March and early April severe weather outbreaks in recent memory. I will have much more on that in the coming days. Let me also give you a detailed breakdown of the snow potential that is building behind this storm system and into the following week. For the Clipper systems that will follow the main storm, here is what you can expect. A Clipper is a fast-moving, low-pressure system that dips down from Canada, brings a quick burst of snow, and moves on. We are expecting back-to-back Clippers through the middle and end of March. These individual Clippers might only drop 1 to 3 inches each, but when you stack Clipper after Clipper, it adds up fast. We could be looking at 6 to 12 inches of total snowfall accumulation across parts of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes just from the parade of Clippers over the next 7 to 10 days. Cities most likely to see significant snow accumulation from these Clippers include Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, and Duluth in Minnesota, Madison, Milwaukee, Green Bay, and Wausau in Wisconsin, Chicago, Rockford, and Peoria in Illinois, primarily on the backside of the main storm system Wednesday night and Thursday, Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Saginaw, and Marquette in Michigan, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Watertown in New York, where lake effect snow could enhance totals, Cleveland, Akron, and Erie in the Ohio and Pennsylvania region. But the bigger winter weather story is what the models are showing around March 15th through 18th. Both the European model and the GFS are picking up on a significant trough diving deep into the eastern United States during that time frame. The European model AI is particularly aggressive, showing a major storm system that could bring heavy snow from the Ohio Valley through the mid-Atlantic and into southern New England. If this verifies, and I want to be clear that we are still 7 to 10 days out, so a lot can change, but if this verifies, we could be looking at a significant mid-March snowstorm. Cities that could see snow from this potential March 15th through 18th event include the following. In the Ohio Valley, Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati, Akron, Canton, Youngstown, and Toledo in Ohio, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, and South Bend in Indiana, Louisville and Lexington in Kentucky, Pittsburgh, Erie, and Johnstown in Pennsylvania. In the Mid-Atlantic, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Annapolis, and Frederick in Maryland, Wilmington in Delaware, Philadelphia, Allentown, Reading, Harrisburg, and Scranton in Pennsylvania, Richmond, Roanoke, and Charlottesville in Virginia. In the Northeast, New York City, Long Island, Albany, and Poughkeepsie in New York, Newark and Trenton in New Jersey, Hartford, New Haven, and Bridgeport in Connecticut, Providence in Rhode Island, Boston, Worcester, and Springfield in Massachusetts. In the southern Appalachians, Asheville and Boone in North Carolina, the Great Smoky Mountains, Charleston and Beckley in West Virginia, Knoxville and the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee. Now, I want to emphasize that this is still a long-range forecast and the details will change significantly over the coming days. But the signal for a pattern change bringing winter conditions back to the eastern United States is growing stronger with each model run. The sudden stratospheric warming event that occurred a few weeks ago is the driving force behind this. It disrupted the polar vortex, splitting it into two lobes and allowing cold air to drain south out of the Arctic in repeated waves. The Arctic Oscillation Index is trending negative, which historically correlates with cold air outbreaks in the eastern United States. The North Atlantic Oscillation is also going negative, which tends to produce a blocking pattern that traps cold air over the eastern half of the country. When both of these indices go negative simultaneously, it is a strong signal for prolonged cold weather. What this means practically is that even as we push deeper into March and approach the spring equinox, the eastern two-thirds of the United States could be dealing with temperatures 10 to 20 degrees below average for extended periods. Frost and freeze warnings could extend all the way down into the Gulf Coast states. Any early blooming vegetation is at risk. Farmers who have already started planting early crops need to be monitoring this closely. For gardeners and homeowners across the South and Mid-Atlantic who have already started putting out spring plants, this is a critical warning. A hard freeze can kill tender plants that have already started growing. If you have put out tomatoes, peppers, or other warm season vegetables, be ready to cover them or bring them indoors if temperatures drop below freezing. Peach orchards in Georgia, South Carolina, and the Shenandoah Valley are particularly vulnerable. A late March freeze during bloom can devastate an entire season's crop. Now let me circle back to the immediate threat one more time, because preparation is everything. If you are a school administrator or bus coordinator in any of the cities I have mentioned, particularly in the enhanced risk zone across central Illinois and northeastern Missouri, please consider the timing of severe weather on Tuesday. Storms are expected to be at their most dangerous between mid-afternoon and late evening. That overlaps with school dismissal and after-school activities. Having a plan to shelter students if warnings are issued during the school day could save lives. If you run a business with outdoor workers, construction crews, roofing teams, landscaping companies, utility workers, Tuesday is a day to have your crew indoors during the afternoon and evening in the risk zone. The same goes for Wednesday across the Ohio Valley and the Deep South. If you are planning travel this week, here is what you need to know. Air travel through Chicago O'Hare and Midway could be severely disrupted Tuesday evening through Wednesday morning. Dallas-Fort Worth International, delays and cancellations are likely Tuesday afternoon and evening. Detroit Metropolitan, disruptions Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Indianapolis International, Tuesday evening through Wednesday morning. St. Louis Lambert, Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday morning. Nashville International Wednesday, Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Wednesday afternoon through evening. These are some of the busiest airports in the country, and severe weather moving through any of them creates cascading delays across the entire national air traffic system. If you have flexibility in your travel plans, consider rescheduling. For road travel, interstate highways that could see the most dangerous conditions include Interstate 55 from St. Louis to Chicago, Interstate 70 from Kansas City to Indianapolis, Interstate 44 from Oklahoma City to St. Louis, Interstate 35 from Dallas to Kansas City, Interstate 65 from Nashville to Indianapolis to Chicago, Interstate 40 from Little Rock to Nashville to Knoxville, and Interstate 80 from Des Moines to Chicago. Heavy rain, wind, and possible tornadoes crossing these highways create extremely hazardous driving conditions. Tractor trailers are especially vulnerable to being blown over by straight-line winds exceeding 60 miles per hour. If you must drive during the storms, keep your headlights on, reduce speed, and increase following distance. If you encounter a wall of rain or hail so heavy that you cannot see, pull off the highway completely, turn on your hazard lights, and wait for it to pass. Do not stop in the driving lanes. Pull off onto the shoulder or into a parking lot. But first, we need to get through the next 72 hours safely. That is the priority. Stay weather aware. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. Do not rely on just your phone. A weather radio is still the gold standard for receiving tornado warnings, especially at night when you are sleeping. Let me give you a final rundown of the key cities and their threat windows one more time. Today, Sunday. Carolina Coast and Southeast Virginia, 4 to 10 in the evening. Georgia, 11 in the morning through 9 in the evening. Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, Wilmington, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Savannah, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, all in the awareness zone. Threat level 1 out of 5. Main hazards are damaging wind gusts and isolated hail. A brief spin-up tornado is possible along the outer banks of North Carolina between 6 and 9 tonight. Monday, Little Rock to Jackson corridor, noon through 8 in the evening. This is the hail day. Golf ball-sized hail or larger is possible from Little Rock through Pine Bluff, Greenville, Mississippi, Jackson, Monroe, Louisiana, and Shreveport. Memphis, evening through overnight, mostly wind and heavy rain with an isolated tornado risk. Birmingham, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa, 4 in the afternoon through 10. Mobile, Dothan, Pensacola, evening through overnight. Hattiesburg, Meridian, Vicksburg, mid-afternoon through evening. The hail threat has intensity level 1, meaning stones could reach 2 inches in diameter or larger with the strongest cells. If you have a garage, use it. Tuesday, the big day. This is the day I am most concerned about. Let me walk through it one more time region by region because I want this information crystal clear. West Texas, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, Amarillo, storms between noon and 4 in the afternoon. Primarily large hail with these initial cells. San Angelo, Abilene, 1 through 5 in the afternoon. Wichita Falls, noon through 5, Central Texas. Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Plano, Irving, Garland, Frisco, McKinney, Denton. Storms develop between 1 and 3 in the afternoon. By mid-afternoon, the hail threat is significant. By 4 to 5 in the afternoon, the tornado risk increases as cells become more organized. A squall line develops and pushes through the metro between 7 and 10 in the evening with damaging winds. Austin, San Marcos, Temple, Killeen, storms between 2 and 6 in the afternoon. Waco between 1 and 5. Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Norman, Moore, Edmond, Midwest City, Del City, Yukon, Mustang, storms between 2 and 5 in the afternoon. Tornado risk increases between 5 and 8 in the evening. Main squall line arrives between 7 and 10. Tulsa, Broken Arrow, Owasso, Jenks, Bixby, Sand Springs, storms between 3 and 7 in the evening. Squall line between 8 and 11. Lawton, 2 through 7. Enid, Stillwater, Ponca City, 2 through 8. Durant, Ada, McAllister, 2 through 7. Woodward, Elk City, 1 through 5. Kansas, Wichita, Derby, Andover, Newton, Hutchinson, storms between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. Squall line between 8 and 11 in the evening. Topeka, Lawrence, Manhattan, 4 through 9. Salina, Hayes, Great Bend, 2 through 7. Dodge City, Garden City, Liberal, 1 through 5. Emporia, 3 through 8. Pittsburgh, Coffeyville, 4 through 9. Overland Park, Olathe, Lenexa, Shawnee, the Kansas side of Kansas City, 4 through 9 in the evening with the main line between 9 and midnight. Missouri, Kansas City Metro, 4 in the afternoon through midnight. Columbia, Jefferson City, Sedalia, 2 through 7. Springfield, Joplin, Branson, 3 through 8. Hannibal, Quincy region, 1 through 5. This is the enhanced risk zone with the highest tornado potential. St. Louis, St. Charles, St. Peters, O'Fallon, 4 through 9. Cape Girardeau, Poplar Bluff, Sykeston, 5 through 10. Kirksville, Moberly, 1 through 6. Iowa. Burlington, Fort Madison, Keokuk, 2 through 6, enhanced risk zone. Des Moines, Ames, 2 through 6. Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, 3 through 8. Davenport, Quad Cities, 4 through 9. Waterloo, Cedar Falls, 3 through 7. Dubuque, 4 through 8. Sioux City, Council Bluffs, scattered storms, lower threat. Illinois, the most critical state for Tuesday. Springfield, Decatur, 1 through 6 in the afternoon, enhanced risk, strong tornado threat. Peoria, Bloomington, normal, 2 through 7, enhanced risk. Champaign, Urbana, Danville, 2 through 7, enhanced risk. Quincy, 1 through 5, enhanced risk. Galesburg, Macomb, 1 through 6. Jacksonville, Taylorville, 2 through 6. Chicago, Aurora, Joliet, Naperville, Elgin, Schaumburg, Waukegan, 5 in the evening through midnight. Rockford, DeKalb, 4 through 10. Carbondale, Marion, Mount Vernon, 3 through 8. Belleville, East St. Louis, 4 through 9. Kankakee, Pontiac, 3 through 8. Effingham, Mattoon, 3 through 8. Indiana, Evansville, 5 through 10 in the evening. Terre Haute, 6 through 11. Bloomington, Indiana, 6 through 11. Indianapolis, Carmel, Fishers, Noblesville, Anderson, 7 through midnight. Fort Wayne, 8 in the evening through 1 in the morning. South Bend, Elkhart, Mishawaka, 8 in the evening through 2 in the morning. Lafayette, West Lafayette, 7 through midnight. Muncie, 8 through midnight. Kokomo, 7 through midnight. Richmond, 8 through 1 in the morning. Michigan, Detroit, Dearborn, Livonia, Ann Arbor, 9 in the evening through 3 in the morning. Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, 8 in the evening through 2 in the morning. Lansing, East Lansing, 9 in the evening through 3. Grand Rapids, Holland, 8 through 2. Jackson, 9 through 3. Flint, Saginaw, Bay City, 10 in the evening through 4 in the morning. Monroe, Adrian, 9 through 2. Ohio, overnight into Wednesday. Toledo, 11 in the evening through 4 in the morning. Columbus, midnight through 5 in the morning. Cincinnati, Dayton, 11 through 4. Cleveland, Akron, Canton, 2 through 7 in the morning. Youngstown, Warren, 1 through 6. Mansfield, Marion, midnight through 5. Lima, Findlay, midnight through 4. Zanesville, Chillicothe, 1 through 5. Wednesday continuation. Nashville, Clarksville, Murfreesboro, morning through 6 in the evening. Memphis, Corpus, early morning through noon. Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Huntsville, noon through 8 in the evening. Chattanooga, Cleveland, Tennessee, noon through 7. Knoxville, Johnson City, 1 through 8. Atlanta, Marietta, Roswell, Kennesaw, 2 through 9 in the evening. Macon, Warner Robins, 3 through 9. Augusta, Columbus, Georgia, 3 through 9. Savannah, Albany, 4 through 10. Jackson, Mississippi, morning through 2 in the afternoon. Pittsburgh, noon through 7. Columbus, Ohio, morning through 3. Cincinnati, morning through 2. Charleston, West Virginia, noon through 8. Roanoke, Lynchburg, 2 through 9. Richmond, 3 through 10. Charlotte, 4 through 11. Thursday, Washington, D.C., Arlington, Alexandria, 2 through 8 in the evening. Baltimore, 2 through 9. Philadelphia, 3 through 9. Wilmington, Delaware, 3 through 9. Trenton, Newark, Jersey City, 4 through 10. New York City, Long Island, 5 through 11. Hartford, New Haven, 5 through 10. Providence, 5 through 10. Norfolk, Virginia Beach, 1 through 7. Raleigh, Durham, 3 through 9. That is your complete forecast for this dangerous, multi-day, severe weather event. Over 270 cities and locations, specific timing for every region, the exact threats you are facing, and what you need to do to prepare. I cannot stress this enough. This is a serious weather setup. The atmosphere is loading for what could be a significant outbreak, particularly on Tuesday. But you have time, you have information, and now you have a plan. Drop your city in the comments, share this with someone in the path of these storms, and make sure you come back tomorrow for the updated forecast with the latest high-resolution model data. That video is going to have even more precise timing and tracking information as we get closer to the event. Stay safe out there. Be prepared. Look out for your neighbors. And remember, the best time to prepare is before the storm, not during it. I will see you in the next video with the latest updates. Take care of yourselves and your families. And one more thing before I go. I want to talk to those of you who have been through severe weather before and know how frightening it can be. I know some of you have lost homes. Some of you have lost loved ones. Some of you hear the tornado sirens and your heart starts racing and your hands start shaking. That is a normal response. You are not weak for being afraid of storms. You are human. But here is what I want you to know. Knowledge is the antidote to fear. The more you understand about what is coming, the more prepared you are, the more in control you will feel. That is why I put so much detail into these forecasts. It is not to overwhelm you. It is to empower you. When you know that the storms are expected to hit your city between 5 and 9 in the evening, you can plan around that. You can have dinner early. You can get the kids bathed and ready for bed before the storms arrive. You can make sure the basement is clear and the flashlights are ready. Preparation turns fear into action. And action is what keeps people safe. For those of you who live alone, especially seniors, I want you to consider reaching out to a neighbor, a family member, or a friend before Tuesday. Let someone know that you might need help if things get bad. Exchange phone numbers with a neighbor if you have not already. Sometimes the most important preparation is not physical. It is knowing that someone is looking out for you.
For parents with young children, I know you are worried about how to handle this without scaring your kids. Keep it simple. Tell them there might be some loud storms and that you have a plan to stay safe. Make the trip to the basement or safe room feel like an adventure, not a crisis. Bring blankets, games, a tablet with their favorite show loaded and ready to go. Children take their cues from the adults around them. If you are calm, they will be calm. For pet owners, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, but it is worth repeating, your animals can sense changes in weather and may become anxious. Keep dogs and cats indoors well before the storms arrive. If your pet tends to hide during thunderstorms, make sure they have access to their hiding spot and that it is a safe area. Do not chain or tie up dogs outside. Do not leave pets in cars. If you have livestock, make sure barn doors are secure and that animals have access to the sturdiest shelter available. For anyone with a disability or mobility limitations, make sure your path to your safe room is clear of obstacles. If you use a wheelchair, have a plan for how you will get to the lowest level of your home. If you cannot reach a lower level, go to an interior room away from windows on whatever floor you can access. Cover yourself with blankets, pillows, or a mattress for added protection. If you depend on powered medical equipment like oxygen concentrators, CPAP machines, or electric wheelchairs, have battery backups charged and ready. Every single one of you matters. Your safety matters. That is why I am here. That is why I make these videos. Not to scare you, but to give you every possible advantage against what nature is about to throw at us. So comment your location below. Share this video with the people you care about. Come back tomorrow for the updated forecast. And most importantly, take the next 24 hours seriously. Get prepared tonight so you can rest easier tomorrow knowing you have done everything you can. I will see you.